So much, James Waterhouse there from Kyiv. I'm also joined by Michael Bossacu, a global affairs analyst and senior fellow at the Atlantic Council think tank. He's based in Ukraine, but he joins me today from Palermo in Italy. Michael, you heard our correspondent James Waterhouse there in Kyiv. What do we know about this latest military incursion? How big is it? How many troops? And how much ground have they been able to take?
Sure. Well, the audaciousness of the actions by the Ukrainian side are absolutely mind-boggling. I think this probably constitutes the biggest advance by any side since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. And it seems what Ukraine has done is deployed some of its most experienced brigade to make this incursion happen. As James mentioned, there's no sign of it ending. We're already into the fourth day. But of course, the problem will be is keeping the Ukrainian troops already in Russia supplied, vehicles maintained, that sort of thing. Quite a sophisticated supply chain needs to be set up. But it's proved, obviously, as a huge humiliation for the Russian side. If you watch Mr. Putin's face in that National Security Council meeting, it speaks volumes of how angry and upset he is. But it also, I think, points to disarray within the defense ministry. I mean, my thought goes back a few months ago when Mr. Prigozhin and the Wagner Group made it so far almost to Moscow and with very little resistance. So I think there's a kind of a connection between the two and what we can see beneath the surface.
It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the Ukrainians have had to do this for some sort of morale boost. But how long can they keep it going on for? And will they have to take some of the manpower from other front lines and move them to this region? Yeah, I think in terms of PR strategy, there are three different audiences here, if you will. The Ukrainians obviously are elated about this. The Telegram channels in Ukraine are on fire showing the videos. But also within Russia, Ukraine has always said, Mr. Zelensky, the president, has said that we want to bring this war to the doorsteps of Russians. And that's what this is doing. I mean, Russian media today calling this a skillful and daring advance. And then I think the Ukrainians are also sending a signal to the United States and other allies is that we can actually do things like this and that, allow us to show what kind of fighters we are and allow us to win the fight through the use of long-range weapons and that sort of thing. But it is going to, again, require quite a lot of resources on the Ukrainian side to keep this sustained. And it also has to be said, finally, that Ukraine has not been doing well in recent weeks on the front line. It has a lack of men, a lack of supplies, and it's curious to see how much this will take away from that. But also, how significant is it that, American and British weapons are being used? And do you think the international community will keep supporting Ukraine in its efforts?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I don't think the F-16s are involved. In fact, we heard them fly overhead in Odessa just a few days ago. But it does appear that American and other foreign machinery is being used. I sense from the kind of silence of Western allies that it's okay with them. They want to see how far this can go. But there are red lines. And in the White House, the State Department, there is a realization that at the end of the day, Mr. Putin's Russia is a nuclear power. And we're not sure whether he would actually cross that red line and use, for example, tactical nuclear weapons. But again, what an unbelievable scene to see Russian troops, Russian convoys, totally paralyzed on Russian soil after they've been struck by the Ukrainians. It's unbelievable.
Michael Bossacu, thank you for joining me and for your analysis.
My pleasure.